Crowds are gathering at the main Occupy protest base in Admiralty tonight, defying government warnings to leave the site immediately ahead of a major police clearance operation tomorrow morning.
The protesters have promised to remain peaceful, but the government is expecting trouble from more radical elements in the crowd and has warned that students may get hurt. ATV's News-1 reports.
The stage is set for tomorrow's big clearance of the main Occupy protest space in Admiralty. A court injunction secured by a private bus operator has authorized the clearance of parts of eastbound Connaught Road Central, eastbound Harcourt Road, and southbound Cotton Tree Drive, which have been blocked for nearly 2.5 months in the name of democracy. The demonstrators have now retreated further up Connaught Road Central to their main encampment outside Admiralty Centre. That's outside the scope of the injunction, but police are gearing up to clear the entire site, regardless of court orders. Chief Secretary Carrie Lam reminded protesters this morning of the deadline for them to move out.
I appeal to the protesters who have been illegally occupying our roads to pack up their belongings and to leave the protest sites in the next 20 hours or so. And secondly, I want to appeal to parents, teachers, principals, and university heads, as well as those who care about the protesters, particularly the students, to contact the protesters and students within today and to persuade them to leave the protest sites.
While student leaders have promised not to put up any resistance, Lam warned them to stop encouraging more people to join them for a last rally to mark the end of the occupation protests.
I think this is most undesirable because once the police operation is underway, and knowing very well that there are some radical elements amongst the protesters, confrontation might become inevitable.
When asked whether she thought tomorrow's clearance would mean the end of the civil disobedience movement, Lam replied that she wasn't so naive. She acknowledged that the government has a lot of follow-up work to do, as the protests have highlighted some deep-rooted problems in society. Security Minister Lai Teng-kwok also urged students to leave the site immediately and to stay away from troublemakers to avoid getting hurt. He warned again that police would take resolute action against anyone blocking the clearance work. Thousands of officers will be deployed to tackle the furious resistance that Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying has warned of. Pro-government lawmakers took a hard line as well today, putting on a show of solidarity to support the police crackdown.
We call for all the radicals and occupiers to leave the occupying area and also to stop using the excuse of protecting other occupiers by using violence. We would like the whole movement to stop with peace.
The Beijing loyalists also called for the organizers and inciters of the Occupy protests to be prosecuted. To head off potential trouble, the Legislative Council building will be closed tomorrow. Some protesters have been camping outside the building, and more could retreat there during tomorrow's operation. Pro-government lawmakers are already calling for another injunction to clear that area, but the LegCo president would not say whether police would be asked to tackle protesters there.
I don't think we can give a definite answer. We will certainly follow very closely the development of the situation, and I can only say that we will have to judge when a necessity arises for us to take necessary measures.
The government's headquarters at Tamar will also be locked down, and 3,000 civil servants have been told not to report for work tomorrow. Winna Wong, ATV News.
Pan-Democrat lawmakers are joining student protesters for a sit-in overnight to greet police when they move in to clear Admiralty tomorrow.
They've all promised to remain peaceful, but they're also insisting it's not the end of the civil disobedience movement.
Police negotiators were seen in Admiralty this afternoon, making last-ditch efforts to persuade students and other occupiers to leave the site before officers clear the roads tomorrow morning. But student leaders refused, calling instead on all their supporters to hold a final mass gathering and stay there until the last minute before they are evicted.
It's not simply for us to be arrested, but to demonstrate that our spirit, and we would resist till the last moment. It is show to the government that, well, as long as the government stick to the decision made by the central government in late August, the Hong Kong society, in general, they will adopt an approach of civil disobedience.
Protest leaders said they would not join members of a new radical group, the Student Front, which has called for violence to be met with violence if police use force against them. Joining them in Admiralty tomorrow will be 23 lawmakers from the pan-democratic camp. The Civic Party's Alan Leung said they would stage a peaceful sit-in just outside the clearance area, specified by the court injunction, and stay there until arrest.
The rumors have it that the police would cordon off the occupied site by midnight tonight and would not allow people to come into the occupied site past midnight. Those of us who would be sitting down at the Tin Wah Road and Harcourt Road junction tomorrow at 8 would stay overnight in the occupied site. And we do advise those who would want to join us tomorrow to do the same.
They also had a stern message for the government.
The pan-democrats are here to point out to those in power that you would be able to clear the roads tomorrow, but you would not be clearing the way to legitimate governance.
Meanwhile, independent legislator Paul Tse, the lawyer for the bus company behind the injunction, said his group is only focusing on areas specified in the court order.
We want to make sure that whatever police operations are to be carried out tomorrow, please do not do that when we are still there, just so as to give the wrong perception to people that we might be the pioneers for the police operation.
Tse believes the 30-strong team assigned to enforce the injunction tomorrow will be enough for the job.